discovered how a heartwarming Christmas revealed my incredible transformation from servant to son. Emily Johnson had always poured her heart into her work at the Blue Plate Diner, where the scent of freshly baked pie wafted through the air like a warm embrace. At 32, she was no stranger to hard work, her infectious laughter echoing off the diner's checkered walls. But as Christmas approached, the weight on her shoulders felt heavier. Her mother's illness drained the little savings she had. The cheer she longed to create for them both seemed just out of reach. Then came the glimmer of hope, a catering job for the Whitman family's extravagant Christmas celebration. Waves of nervous excitement coursed through her as she arrived at the Whitmans' grand home, adorned with twinkling lights and an opulent decorations fit for a holiday card. Inside, laughter dinged like bells around the sparkling tree. But then, the whispers began. She caught snippets of disdainful remarks about her background, remarks that pierced through her confident facade like a knife. Her smile faltered, the warmth inside her chest freezing. She felt invisible, cast away into the shadows of their glittering lives. The holiday spirit grew tense as a sudden snowstorm layered the town in white, trapping everyone inside. Full of laughter at first, the atmosphere changed quickly, like flipping a light switch. Conversations sparked judgments, and the warmth of the room became a pressure cooker, forcing every hidden truth to the surface. Emily's heart raced as she realized she had to confront her own worth amidst the opulence surrounding her. What did it mean to be a part of this seeming perfection? As she served, a tidal wave of stories began to break through the icy barriers. "Can you believe how last minute we did this?" Carla Whitman laughed, her designer dress rustling like a winter breeze. Yet her face betrayed a hint of anxiety as she turned to Emily. "Aren't you just a waitress? I wouldn't want that job." Emily's chest tightened, but she straightened her back, choosing to respond with grace. "Every job teaches us something," she replied softly, her voice steady. The room shifted. That comment sparked a chain reaction, melting some of that frosty tension. One by one, they began sharing their insecurities, the facade cracking beneath the flickering lights. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As stories flowed between cups of steaming cocoa, Emily shared the tender stories of her childhood, the struggles of balancing work and caring for her mother's needs. The Whitmans leaned in, captivated, their expressions shifting from mockery to understanding. Hidden beneath luxury were threads of pain and yearning, resonating with her own heart's burdens. In their safe little bubble, they peeled back layers they saw beyond the server's uniform, seeing an empowered woman whose laughter was born from resilience. Yet, the warm connections hung like fragile ornaments, ready to shatter with the harsh winds outside. Could their burgeoning affection survive when the storm had passed? As they gathered closer around the Christmas tree, a pivotal question lingered in the air. Would this newfound bond see them transcend societal divides, or would Emily once again be relegated to the sidelines? The night brimmed with promise, yet the echoes of doubt loomed just beyond the glow of the lights, leaving hopes, dreams, and hearts hanging in suspense. The storm raged outside, snow swirling like 1,000 tiny stars flung into the night. Inside, the laughter and chatter of the Whitman household felt like a warm cocoon against the biting cold. Yet, amidst the flickering lights and festive cheer, a tension crackled, as if emotions were too tightly wound and about to snap. Emily stood with a tray of cookies, feeling the weight of each delicate confection against the wood. She watched as the Whitmans pivoted back into their lavish lives, discussions about work, alliances, and upcoming parties swirling around her, vibrant and bright. It was mesmerizing yet isolating. Each shared laugh felt like an echo that bounced back at her, reminding her of her place, just a servant, just a momentary distraction in their evening. But the story she had shared, her struggles and her victories, had sparked something deep inside Emily. She felt lighter, more solid, as if a part of her that had been hidden was emerging. And when her eyes met those of Carla, she noticed a flicker of truth hovering between them, waiting to ignite. "You know, I've thought about opening my own cafe one day," Carla murmured, the cheeky sparkle replaced by something sincere. Emily's heart quickened. Here was a rare moment where the worlds truly collided. "You'd be amazing at it," she replied, her voice filled with genuine encouragement. "Your creativity would shine through." The laughter around them faded as they leaned towards one another. Carla's sincerity caught Emily off guard. She had become more than a mere waitress in that moment. She was a friend, an ally. Each word exchanged melted glaciers of tension, and Emily felt brave. Just as warmth began to spread through the room, Mr. Whitman entered, shaking off snowflakes that glimmered like tiny diamonds on his tailored jacket. He looked around at the motley crew of family and newfound friends huddled close. His expression quickly flickered to one of confusion, and for a beat, the air thickened. "What is going on here?" he asked, his voice sharp yet inquisitive. Emily could feel her stomach drop at the sudden attention, all eyes darting between the laughter and her. She prepared herself for the cold dismissal, the reminder of her position. But the unexpected occurred. Instead, the room erupted in surprising, collective honesty. Carla took the reins, her voice rising above the bewilderment. "We were just sharing stories about our lives, Dad. It's kind of nice." The tension morphed into a surprised silence. Emily's heartbeat raced. Would Mr. Whitman accept this honest portrayal of their gathering? Or would his high expectations drag everyone back to their respective corners? After a moment that seemed to stretch on endlessly, he sighed, his eyebrows furrowing deeper. "All right. As long as nobody is planning on slacking off the rest of the night." A hint of softness danced in his words, intriguing Emily. Could he be more than the stern figure she imagined? Slowly, the laughter returned, cautiously at first. Emily joined in, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. Just then, a loud bang jolted them, thunder-like amid the wind. A window rattled from the storm, creating a distraction. "What was that?" someone shouted. Emily's heart sank for a moment, instinct pulling her eyes to the window. The outside world felt forbidding, just as it had earlier. Yet she sensed that something was shifting within these walls. The Christmas lights glimmered defiantly. Was it possible that real connections were forming and real barriers being broken? As she glanced around the room, faces illuminated with anticipation, she felt more alive than she had in years. But that nagging question hung heavy. Would this fragile camaraderie survive once the storm calmed? Just then, Carla caught her gaze, and in that fleeting moment, Emily realized there was one truth that desperately needed to be discovered. What would happen tomorrow? Would she still be a ghost in their shimmering world, or could she finally find a place among them? As the din of the Whitman household resumed, Emily felt a shift in the air, a mingling of hope and fear. The storm continued its furious battle outside, but inside, laughter surged like a warm current. She stood quietly, watching families and friends revel in simple joys, her heart racing. Carla's words replayed in her mind. "It's kind of nice." Nice. It felt like so much more than that, a shared depth they had never explored among all their social pretense. Mr. Whitman resumed his authoritative presence seamlessly. He leaned onto the mantel, commanding the attention of the room. "All right then, let us see who has the best stories." A ripple of excitement threaded through everyone. Stories began to flow, each shared anecdote unraveling more layers between the Whitmans and the people they employed. Emily smiled to herself, feeling the warmth enveloping the room, a cocoon of camaraderie knitting their threads closer together. Her confidence wavered, still unsure of her place amidst the decorum of this world. She glanced at Carla, who appeared buoyed by the interaction, encouraging Emily silently to join in. With a breath, Emily stepped forward, finding her voice. "Well, once, I tried cooking a special dinner for my family. It turned into a disaster, burned everything. But we ended up laughing till it hurt." Her words tumbled out, and she watched faces brighten around her. "Sounds familiar," shouted Carla's younger brother, pulling laughter from a small crowd. "I tried making pancakes once, and it was more like glue on a plate." The din grew, and for the first time, Emily felt like a vital part of the intricate dance of personalities swirling in this room. With each joke shared, she shared a part of herself, inching forward into the warmth instead of shying away. Yet, Just as the laughter peaked, there was an unsettling rustle behind her. Mr. Whitman's brows furrowed again, becoming the stoic judge of their affair. All right, this is fun and all, but I expect everyone to be ready to pull together afterward. No distractions, he interjected sternly, dragging the room's festive mood down again. But Carla wouldn't let it simmer. She leaned in closer to her dad. This is important, Dad. Remember the season. Everyone should feel comfortable sharing. Her voice wrapped around Emily's heart, prompting a small, tender smile to spread across her face. Emily admired the spark in Carla, genuine and fierce. She was tired of hiding behind her role, tired of feeling like she was only worth the service she provided. Maybe if you listen more, you'd find more surprises, Emily replied, surprising even herself with her boldness. The entire room froze. The weight of her words hung in the air, a declaration too brave for her own expectations. Dunamar. Whitman's eyes narrowed, but instead of the sharp reprimand she expected, something flickered behind his gaze. Was it recognition? Was he beginning to see her as more than just a position in their household? What do you suggest, then? He asked, tones softening slightly. Clearly intrigued, as the weight of that question sank in, hope bubbled within her. Here was her moment that could change everything. She didn't want to be just a ghost in the Whitman household. She wanted to be seen, to be cherished alongside them. But deep down, the fear lurked. Would this connection last beyond the walls of this grand house? And then came that unbearable tension of what would happen next. Should she share her dreams, dive into the ocean of her aspirations? Was there a risk worth taking in this fragile world of lights and hope? In that moment, the storm raged outside, a compelling echo of her own simmering emotions. What was she willing to risk to truly belong? Emily took a deep breath, her heart pounding as the room held its breath, waiting for her response. She could feel the weight of all their gazes on her, a mixture of anticipation and curiosity. This was her moment, a fragile thread of courage weaving its way through the very fabric of this gathering. Maybe she began slowly, eyes darting from Mr. Whitman to the others. Maybe you could ask each of us to share what we love doing outside of these walls. You know, our real selves. The suggestion hung in the air like an unlit candle, both bright and promising. She was surprised by her own boldness, yet terrified of the potential reaction. Mr. Whitman's shoulders tensed slightly, but his eyes, once lined with judgment, now shimmered with intrigue. I like that idea, Carla piped up, her enthusiasm brightening the room again. We all have stories that matter, Dad. It could be fun. Others nodded, murmurs of agreement rolling across the space. Emily felt warmth soaking through her fear, a feeling she hadn't expected. Mr. Whitman scratched his chin, pondering her words. Very well. If everyone is willing to share, laughter erupted again, echoing through the room as people began to discuss their hidden talents. Emily's chest swelled with hope, the walls that had sheltered her heart slowly crumbling. What might the Whitmans learn if they truly opened up? The first willing soul was Mrs. Whitman, who shared her love for painting, her voice delicate and wistful. It's where my heart feels most alive, capturing little moments of beauty, she said, her eyes sparkling with passion. As story after story unfolded, Emily listened with awe. The youngest Whitman revealed a knack for building model planes. Another shared a quirky hobby of collecting vintage comic books. Each tale carried laughter, secrets, and, more importantly, a shared humanity that bound them all closer together. Emily felt herself leaning in, each story drawing her in deeper, a moth to a flame. Her own untold passions buzzed at the edge of her mind, but the doubts still lingered, sharp and biting. What if her dreams sounded foolish in comparison? When the tide of stories dwindled, silence settled like a snug blanket. Mr. Whitman looked around the room, then back at Emily. And you, Emily? What do you wish to share? Eyes widened. The air crackled with anticipation. Her heart raced as she realized all eyes were on her. This was the moment, the line drawn between fear and acceptance. Should she dare cross it? With a shaky inhale, Emily stood tall. I love to dance. It's the only time I feel free. Gasps erupted, mixed with supportive murmurs. Well then, Mr. Whitman replied, a smile finally creeping onto his lips. Why don't you show us? Caught off guard, her impulse was to retreat, to hide away in her own insecurities. but something within her ignited. The shared vulnerability spurred her on. Okay, I'll show you. The storm outside raged with renewed vigor, but Emily felt a warmth enveloping her, a kind of electricity. Stepping into the center of the room, she felt every heartbeat thrum louder, a rhythm syncing with the pounding rain. She surrendered to the music in her heart, letting it flow through her veins as she danced, weaving joy and fear into a vibrant tapestry of movement. Laughter and claps filled the room, stirring a spirit of togetherness that felt rare and precious. She realized she was no longer just a servant in this house. She was becoming part of something bigger. Yet, just as she let the music carry her away completely, Emily couldn't shake the nagging thought. Would this moment last? The dance ended, but the questions lingered, echoing inside her. Did she really belong here, dancing in both their lives and hers? And what would happen when the dawn broke this enchanted night? Emily felt the storm howl outside, both a warrior and a spectator. This was just the beginning of her journey, but was she ready for the next step? As the last echoes of her dance faded, Emily found herself breathless and flushed, a mix of exhilaration and lingering doubt churning inside her. The Whitmans were still clapping, their faces awash with smiles, but her spirit wavered. For a fleeting moment, she caught Carla's grateful gaze, which ignited something deep within her. Could she really be a part of this family? Emily, that was beautiful, Carla exclaimed, her voice bright and genuine. You should do that all the time. The room buzzed with excitement, each family member eager to share their appreciation. Mrs. Whitman wiped a tear from her eye before beaming proudly. You brought something truly special to our night. Thank you for sharing that. Yet, amidst the warmth enveloping her, Emily felt a pang of reality clawing at her heart. This was one night a dazzling illusion built on shared stories and laughter. What would tomorrow hold? Just then, Mr. Whitman, with newfound respect etched on his face, cleared his throat. I think we've all learned something tonight. This house is not just about roles or status. It's about connection and making room for everyone's uniqueness. His words sank in. What if she could fully embrace this moment? The storm outside paused momentarily, allowing a gentle patter of rain against the windows to fill the silence. It felt almost like nature itself was taking a breath with her, letting the fear seep away, if only for a moment. Can we do that dance again? A voice piped up, joining the lightness in the air. It was the youngest boy, grinning widely. His innocence struck a chord with Emily, making her smile even wider. Looking around, she caught Mr. Whitman's eye. Can we all join in? Absolutely. He nodded enthusiastically, clapping his hands together. Laughter erupted again, igniting the room as everyone rose. The Whitmans began to shuffle awkwardly in rhythm, stumbling into one another, their laughter ringing out like music. Feeling emboldened, Emily stepped back to the center, demonstrating simple moves that everyone could copy. With each twist and sway, the connection among them deepened. Mrs. Whitman's laughter was contagious. Carla's wild spins brought out her playful side, and even Mr. Whitman joined in with an awkward jive, his dignified facade slipping away. It struck Emily as beautiful the raw imperfections in their movements mirrored the vulnerability each had shown tonight. They were not just the Whitmans, a family of privilege. They were people, just like her. Finally, breathless and glowing, they collapsed back onto the couches, the energy of the room buzzing like a live wire. Carla, still bursting with excitement, looked over at Emily. We should do this more often. It's like therapy for the soul. Emily couldn't help but snicker, her heart swell with gratitude. Even through chaos, they had created a bond. Yet that gnawing doubt still flickered in her mind like a candle in the wind. Was this new reality meant for someone like her? Just then, the door creaked open. The air shifted as a tall figure stepped in, a shadow suddenly darkening the room. It was Thomas, Mr. Whitman's eldest son, returning unexpectedly. His expression shifted as he took in the scene, eyebrows furrowing in confusion. Emily's heart dropped. Would he understand? Would he rip apart this fragile connection she had begun to weave? As he stood there, taking in the sight of his family's joyful abandon, she felt the weight of the moment shift once more. What would happen next? Would Thomas embrace this joyous transformation, or would he bring back the old barriers that separated her from the Whitmans? The storm outside resumed, its howling winds matching the whirlpool of questions now swirling back in her mind. Emily steadied herself, knowing that this journey was far from over. Thomas paused at the doorway, his dark coat stark against the cheerful chaos around him. Emily could see the gears turning in his mind as he processed the scene, his family, laughing and moving freely, reveling in the aftermath of her dance. The light of the room contrasted sharply with the gloom of his entrance, casting shadows over his familiar features. "Hey, what is going on here?" His voice was calm but curious, a stark difference to the laughter echoing through the room. Mrs. Whitman straightened up first, beaming at her son. "Emily just danced for us, Thomas. It was beautiful. You should have seen it." Thomas's eyebrows raised slightly, a flicker of interest passing through his stoic demeanor. But Emily could feel a tension radiating from him, as if he were weighing the situation carefully. She swallowed hard, unsure of how to bridge the gap that had suddenly widened. "Come join us," Carla called out, waving her arms animatedly as she kicked off her shoes. "It's a dance party." Emily took a deep breath, hoping to draw him into their moment of joy. But Thomas remained still, arms crossed, observing. His gaze caught Emily's, and for a fleeting moment, she saw a mix of confusion and concern. Was he worried about how this would shift their family dynamic? With a nervous laugh, Emily stepped forward, ready to take control of the moment. "It's really good to let loose, Thomas. Trust me." She tried to meet his eyes, hoping to connect. "I promise you'll have fun." Still, he hesitated. "I don't know if that's really my thing." His polite rejection struck a chord in Emily, and the air thickened with unspoken tension. Doubts crept back in, whispering that perhaps all this laughter and connection wouldn't hold. Maybe this world was too far removed from what was real. But Carla, sensing the shift, dashed in before the moment could deflate completely. "Come on, Thomas. Everyone can dance. Even you." She extended a hand toward him, her face beaming with enthusiasm. Finally, after a thoughtful pause, a slight smile broke through Thomas's stern exterior. "Fine," he chuckled, though his voice remained guarded. Stepping forward, he took Carla's hand and allowed her to guide him into the mix. As they all began to sway and bounce, Emily's heart fluttered. Could this be the moment when a wall began to crack? Thomas's movements were stiff and awkward at first, reminiscent of a newborn deer trying to find its legs. But soon, laughter bubbled up from him, and he began to loosen up, even attempting a spin that sent everyone into giggles. Emily felt a warmth blossom in her chest. Maybe, just maybe, this mess of a family could accept her. Each joyful moment they shared chipped away at the uncertainty that had held her back. As the laughter crescendoed, Emily caught Thomas's eye again. This time he met her gaze with a hint of a smile, a flicker of something like acceptance beginning to glow between them. Then, just as the energy peaked, the lights flickered. The sudden dimness drew a collective pause, a quiet hush falling over the room. Emily's pulse quickened. "Must be the storm," Mr. Whitman said, but the concern creeping into his voice was palpable. "Let us not stop," Carla exclaimed, holding her hands up high as if to rally everyone. "We can dance in the dark." With darkness enveloping them, the room pulsed with energy, laughter echoing louder than before. Emily felt the vibrations of hope rising again within her. But as she started to dance freely, Thomas's eyes suddenly hardened, his body tense as if struck by a thought. "Wait," he said, darting forward. "Emily, do you really think you belong here?" The question hung in the air like an official decree as the laughter faded into uneasy silence. Would this be the moment that brought her crashing down? Would his skepticism unravel everything she had just begun to feel? With the storm raging outside, it felt like everything was on the verge of tipping into joy or despair. Emily felt the weight of Thomas's questions settle over the room like a thick fog. Her breath caught in her throat, silencing the unrestrained joy that had filled the space just moments before. She glanced around, hoping to find reassurance in someone else's eyes, but everyone seemed to hold their breath, drawn into the gravity of that simple yet piercing inquiry. Did she belong here? Despite the movement and laughter, doubts sprang to life, clawing at her insides. Her heart raced, caught in a storm of emotion. "Of course I do," she managed, her voice surprisingly steady under the tremor of uncertainty. "I might not be your blood, Thomas, but this," she gestured to the room, This feels like home, and I want to be a part of it. For a brief moment, Thomas's expression softened, but the shadows danced in his eyes, hinting at an internal battle. Emily, his voice trailed off as if searching for the right words, but they evaded him, tangled in the expectations he carried and the experiences that weighed him down. You think I don't see it? The way you hesitate, the way you fit in, but still feel out of place. His words hung in the air like a challenge, igniting a spark within her. I'm learning, Emily replied, the passion rising in her chest. This family, the laughter, the chaos, it's new to me. But I'm trying. I want to be someone you can count on. Just then, a loud clap of thunder echoed from outside, and the house trembled slightly under the weight of it. The power flickered once more, leaving them momentarily in darkness. The only sounds now were the howls of the wind and the rhythmic thumping of their hearts. Maybe you just try too hard, Thomas said quietly, his voice barely heard over the booming storm. What if it all just disappears, Emily? What if I'm not what you think? The vulnerability in his voice cracked against her defenses like lightning striking a tree. She took a step closer, feeling the pull of the moment, that sudden bond, frayed but fighting to stay whole. Then take the leap with me, she urged, her palms open, as if inviting him to join her in that space of uncertainty. You don't have to pretend. The darkness felt thick, warm, and suffocating all at once. Emily reached out, her fingers brushing against Thomas's arm, seeking not just touch, but connection. His body flinched briefly at the contact, but there was a spark that surged after that initial shock, a recognition that something was shifting. You're right, he whispered, almost to himself. I've built these walls, I'm scared they'll crumble if I lean into it. Scared of what that means. The tension twisted in Emily's chest. She felt both vulnerable and powerful in that moment. We all are scared, Thomas. But maybe that's part of being family. The messiness, the uncertainty, the hope. Silence enveloped them again, carrying a weight that felt almost sacred. Then, slowly, Thomas inhaled deeply, a soft sigh escaping his lips. What if? His voice faltered. The question hung between them, ripe with possibilities. Suddenly, the lights flickered back to life, brightening the room and revealing the anxious faces of the Whitman family, each one filled with hope and expectancy, as if they'd been waiting just for this moment. Thomas turned, looking at the joyful faces, Carla still bouncing on her toes, Mrs. Whitman with wide eyes sparkling with love, and Mr. Whitman, holding onto the back of his chair as if to steady himself, and then back to Emily. Okay, he said, the solemnity in his tone lifted by a hint of determination. Maybe I don't have the answers, but for now, I'm willing to try with you. His admission broke something open within Emily, spilling warmth and hope over her heart. Let us dance in the light, then, Carla shouted, jumping into their space, her contagious enthusiasm lighting up the room once more. With the storm still raging outside, they joined hands, moving back towards the middle of the room. Laughter broke over the crowd, and Emily felt the shadow lift. It wasn't perfect, but it felt real. They danced, weaving around each other while tentative joy began to blossom into something much larger. But as Emily whirled in the moment, she felt a nagging thought creeping back, and a fear that still resided deep in her heart. Was it too late to fully embrace this family? Just as the music crescendoed and the rhythm carried them away, Emily's heart raced with the thrill of their union, yet uncertainty pulsed beneath. Would the storm inside her ever truly calm? She caught Thomas's gaze one more time, and for an instant, she saw more than just his concerns. She glimpsed the possibility of acceptance. What would happen next? Could they both find a way to belong? As the music swelled, she felt the question loom larger than life, begging for an answer. Emily danced, her heart pounding with exhilaration. The infectious joy of the Whitman family was like a lifeline, pulling her deeper into their world. Every laugh, every twirl felt like a step towards finally finding her place. Yet, at the fringes of her happiness, uncertainty lingered. Could she really weave her way into this tight-knit family? In the throes of the celebration, she caught a glimpse of Thomas's face, lit with determination yet still shadowed by doubt. It was a bittersweet reminder of the distance that still existed between them. The music surged around them, a warm embrace in contrast to her swirling thoughts. Emily, Carla shouted, breaking her reverie as she reached for her hand. "Come on, we need a group photo." The call echoed across the room, pulling everyone together, laughter rising like the notes of a favorite song. They gathered, arms draped around one another, smiles wide. But Emily felt her heart quicken again. The idea of capturing this moment felt like a promise and a challenge all at once. What if this photo was a permanent reminder of the joy she craved, and the connection she feared she might lose? As everyone crammed together, Lieutenant Whitman playfully pushed against his wife, prompting giggles to ripple through the group. Emily felt the warmth of Thomas beside her, their shoulders brushing as he leaned in for the snapshot. When the camera clicked, she forced herself to relax and smile genuinely, hoping that the feeling in her heart could translate into that single frame. But as the group dispersing, she couldn't shake the lingering weight of her thoughts. In the laughter that faded into chatter, she sensed the subtle shift in energy. There were so many layers to this family, stories hidden behind their jubilant expressions. Would they truly welcome her, or would she remain just an outsider adorned in borrowed joy? Thomas approached her, his expression serious, yet softened by the flicker of understanding in his eyes. "You okay?" he asked gently, the lively atmosphere around them fading into something more intimate. Emily hesitated but held his gaze. "I don't know, Thomas. I feel like I'm standing on the edge of something big, but what if I fall?" He nodded slowly, the concern in his eyes echoing her own fears. "It's scary to take that leap, but maybe, just maybe, you can land on your feet." Their moment was interrupted by a sudden crash of thunder outside, the storm rearing its head once more, a dramatic reminder of the chaos accompanying change. It felt almost symbolic, the storm inside her matching the tempest outside, and her resolve wavered under the weight of everything left unsaid. "Let us take a walk," Thomas proposed, as if sensing her inner turmoil. "We can talk. Just us." With a mixture of anxiety and hope, Emily nodded. This was the moment to confront her fear of belonging head-on. They stepped outside into the cool night air, the wind howling like the voices of doubts whispering in her mind. As they passed through the door, the cold hit them, but the warmth of possibility wrapped around her heart. "What if I can't do this?" Emily's voice trembled, uncertainty clawing at her once more. "Sometimes the best surprises lie just beyond the darkest storms," Thomas replied, his words hanging in the air like a mantra, a hope she desperately wanted to believe. They wandered under the ominous clouds, the sky growling above as tension hung heavily between them. The world became quiet around them, the clamor of the party now a distant hum, leaving room for something real to unfold. But before Emily could respond, the skies opened up, pouring down rain like a curtain of uncertainty, drenching them both in a torrent. They laughed, running back toward the shelter of the house. But in that moment, something shifted, something electric sparked between them as droplets landed on their skin, mingling with their laughter as they reached the porch, breathless and soaked. Emily looked up, meeting Thomas's gaze once again. The world around them blurred, and she felt a wave of courage wash over her. Maybe it was time to confront every fear contained in her heart. "Do you think?" she started, but paused, the weight of her question heavy between them. "What?" Thomas asked, eyes wide with expectation. "Do you think we can prepare ourselves for whatever comes next together?" The rain continued to fall, a rhythmic backdrop to the question echoing in the night, as their fates hung in the balance. They stood on the brink of discovery, both unsure of where their journey would lead. But in that moment, a shared realization bloomed within Emily. Perhaps belonging was more than just a place. Perhaps it was found in the willingness to embrace the uncertainty together. But as the storm raged and the night deepened, Emily couldn't help but wonder. Would they both have the courage to face what was coming, or would this be another moment lost in the chaos? Emily took a deep breath, her heart racing as the rain cascaded around them. The moment stretched, heavy with unspoken possibilities. Something about Thomas's intense gaze, filled with both hope and vulnerability, made her stomach flutter. She sensed they were on the edge of something beautiful, yet fragile, like the world beneath their feet might buckle at any moment. Together, she echoed softly, testing the weight of the word. It felt real, packed with promise. As the rain drummed a steady rhythm, it seemed to wash away some of her fears, leaving determination in their place. "I want that," Thomas stepped closer, the warmth radiating from him despite the chill in the air. We can take it one step at a time. I don't have all the answers, Emily, but I believe in us. The sincerity in his voice ignited something within her. A part of her that wanted to trust, that wanted to lean in and explore the what-ifs instead of retreating into the shadows of doubt. But would that courage hold once the real challenges came crashing in? The thunder crackled above, fierce and demanding, yet it oddly mirrored the tempest of thoughts swirling in her mind. She never thought she would stand here, soaked to the bone, heart gripped in an unfamiliar mix of fear and exhilaration. What if we fail? She whispered, almost to herself. What if my past comes back to haunt me? Thomas rose to meet her eyes, his voice steady. Then we face it together. You're not alone in this. You never have to be. His words struck deep, a lifeline thrown in turbulent waters. But just then, the brightness of the party spilled out onto the porch, pulling them back into the lively chaos. Laughter floated like a warm breeze through the door, and Emily felt an involuntary pull towards it. The Whitmans were a family bound in joy, yet here she was, suspended between their light and her shadowy doubts. Let us head back, Thomas suggested, sensing her hesitation. I think they want us for the next round of games. His hand brushed against hers, igniting a spark that danced up her arm. Games, Emily echoed, trying to mask her apprehension with a smile. I'm terrible at games. Just follow my lead, he teased, a glimmer in his eyes that urged her to surrender a bit of her fear. It felt good, the way he made her want to laugh. Even when the world felt heavy to they stepped back inside. The heat rushed against her skin, mingling with the feel of Thomas beside her. The air buzzed with excitement, and Emily's pulse quickened not just from uncertainty, but from possibility. This was her chance. The living room was filled with cheerful chaos, kids darting around, adults catching up, and the festive decorations twinkling under the soft glow of string lights. Emily's eyes landed on the Whitman family, their faces aglow with love and joy. It made her heart swell and ache at the same time. How about a round of charades? Carla called to the group, her infectious enthusiasm quieting the crowd. Emily felt a surge of anxiety, but also a flicker of excitement. She noticed Thomas standing beside her, a warm smile bridging the gap of worry. He nudged her lightly. Come on, we'll do it together. Together. The word resonated within her as they moved toward the gathering circle. With each step, the laughter wrapped around her like a hug, and she felt the boundaries of her past start to blur. Perhaps the adventure that lay ahead wouldn't be filled with failing after all. With Thomas by her side, she could face whatever came next. All right, who's first? Carla announced, and the air buzzed with anticipation. Yet, before they could settle in, the door suddenly burst open, letting in a gust of wind. A figure stepped in, drenched and wild-eyed, an unexpected arrival that plunged them into another wave of uncertainty. Emily, the newcomer shouted, voice thick with urgency. I need to talk to you now. A chill swept through the room as Emily's heart sank. Who is this? And what now? Suddenly, everything they'd just built seemed to teeter on the edge again, and the game they were about to play felt miles away. As everyone turned their attention to her, Emily's mind raced with questions. But deep down, one thing burned brighter than the rest. What if this was the very moment that could change everything? Emily felt as if the air had been sucked from the room. She recognized the voice, filled with urgency and panic. It was her brother, Jake. What's wrong? She managed to ask, rushing toward him, her heart pounding in her chest. The warmth and laughter around her faded, replaced by the weight of worry pulling her back to her reality. Jake looked at her, his expression grave. Mom, it's her health, she needs you. Now. The words hit Emily like a truck, and the room blurred around her, laughter fading into silence. The gravity of his plea pulled her away from the warmth of the Whitman family, the magic of the night slipping through her fingers. Thomas stepped forward, his eyes flickering with concern as he processed the urgency. I'll come with you, he said without hesitation, and the simple offer sent a swell of gratitude through Emily. No, Thomas, you don't have to, Emily protested, her voice shaky. But deep down, she felt the gentle, reassuring pull of solidarity, the powerful urge of being together amidst chaos. Actually, I do, he said firmly, his gaze steady. Together, They grabbed their coats, a unified front against the storm outside that reflected the turmoil inside Emily's heart. Carla called after them. "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" But all she heard was the pounding of her own heart as she stepped out into the blizzard that had transformed the world into a wild, whirling mix of snow and wind as they navigated through the harsh weather. Emily felt a surge of determination rise in her. For too long, she had allowed fear to dictate her path. As she fought against the wind, she glanced sideways at Thomas. "Thank you for coming. I didn't want you to see me like this, feeling helpless." His response was immediate. "This is you, Emily, strong, brave, and I want to see it all." His words ignited a flicker of courage within her. For every struggle she had faced, she now had someone beside her. When they reached her mother's small home, darkness loomed. It was as if the world had shrunk down to just them, the storm shielding them from the judgments and opinions of the outside. But inside, the flickering light of an old lamp offered a hesitant glow, illuminating the worried faces of her relatives. With each step inside, Emily was hit with a wave of nostalgia, memories flooding her. But sadness cloaked the air, thick with concern. Her mother lay on the couch, pale and small, like a fragile doll lost in the big world. Emily's heart seized in her chest as she knelt beside her, brushing the hair from her mother's forehead. "Mom," she whispered, emotion choking her. Her mother's voice was a fragile thread, but Emily felt it wrap around her heart like a familiar blanket. Jake stepped back, letting them have their moment as Thomas stood quietly, a steady presence behind her. Emily explained the situation with her mother to the family members who had rushed over, their anxious expressions and hushed tones affirming her fear. Her mother's health was failing. But as the night wore on, surrounded by family, Emily began to open up about everything, the burden she had carried, the dreams she had tucked away. In that room filled with worry and warmth, she shared her vision of a cafe, her love of dancing, and her desire to build a life full of joy. Each word drew Thomas closer, and he chimed in, sharing his own fears and dreams, revealing more about himself than he had before. The family collectively shifted from worry to support. They rallied behind Emily, offering help in any way they could. People began to share stories of resilience, miracles of overcoming adversity that seemed to flow from every corner of the room. It transformed the atmosphere, shifting from dread to hope, like sunlight breaking through the clouds. Against the backdrop of Christmas lights sparkling outside, Emily nearly forgot the weight on her shoulders. The warmth of Thomas's presence beside her felt like a beacon in the storm, a reminder that they could navigate life's challenges together. Hours passed, and eventually, with a heavy heart but a resolute spirit, Emily realized that no matter what the future held, she would no longer stand as a shadow. She had chosen to embrace love and vulnerability, to step into this family she yearned to be part of. Together, she mouthed to Thomas, squeezing his hand, and he smiled back, his own determination reflecting in his eyes. No longer afraid of their pasts, they were ready to face whatever storms awaited them together. As Christmas morning dawned, the world sparkled like fresh snow under the bright light of hope. Emily took a deep breath, flooded with warmth, ready to embrace each new day as a joyful dance, an evolving family, the beginning of something beautiful yet unwritten. They would face it all with laughter, heart, and, most importantly, together. Now this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the good vibes going. Comment your reactions and feelings about this heartfelt ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.